Hello and a warm welcome to Pulse of Culture. Created in 1908, Jacek Malczewski's breathtaking oil painting Reality, or Rzeczywistość in Polish, stands as one of the artist's most magnificent works. The painting has just been sold at auction here in Warsaw for an astounding 22.2 million zloty, setting a new record in the Polish art market. To discuss this incredible development, I have Tomasz Dziewicki, head of Old Masters Department, DESA Unicum, joining me here right now. Hello and welcome, sir. Delighted to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me in the studio.
So let's shed some light on the story behind this painting, as it has been quite controversial.
Well, actually, the story begins in, as you said, in 1908, when Malczewski created that painting in his studio in Krakow. Then the last trace, the last official trace we recorded was a record in exhibition catalog of anniversary Malczewski exhibition in Lviv, 1926. And then the painting vanished in a private collection for almost a century. And it vanished in a special collection, let's say. We say Polish-German family collection. That was a family which was linked to the Polish culture, affiliated to the Polish culture, but living then in Boyten, so now Bytom, in Upper Silesia. And later, in the 50s, members of that family who were the owners of Rzeczywistość, they decided to join the other part of family who already lived in West Germany. So they just took their own goods, among it Malczewski, of course, and they settled down in Germany.
Right, because the painting, I mean, I'm sorry, it emerged, resurfaced on eBay, right, of all places?
Exactly. It resurfaced on German auction portal. We're just astonished. And it caused a little sensation in art expert circles, museum curators, academicians on Polish art. We discussed it a lot then. And of course, the owner then put that on the portal, not only for sale, but with the option of making a request about that object. So we contacted the owner as an auction house to convince him to put that at auction properly in Poland, where it belongs, and we succeeded. And finally, yes, the first auction took a part in December 2022.
Right. Then this sale was annulled, right? Because the provenance of the painting had to be double-checked, if I'm not mistaken, right? But luckily, now it was sold. Nothing is going to happen. 22.2 million zloty. How significant is this amount?
Well, actually, it's a top record, the highest sum paid for any object, any artwork at the public auction in Poland. In last years, the auction market, the art market, was dominated mostly by blue chip names of contemporary art, like Magdalena Abakanowicz with their group of sculptures, Andrzej Wróblewski with his magnificent oil works, and others. But still, the second most valuable Malczewski sold in, as far as I remember, 2021 was sold for almost 7 million Polish zlotys. So you can imagine,
big difference.
Yeah, the big difference between that result and this result from last Thursday. These pieces were like totally different. This one was like a top museum quality piece with magnificent stylistic values, very important for Polish culture, Polish art history, with all significant motifs from Malczewski work.
Right, so let me ask you, what is being taken into consideration when trying to estimate the value of an artwork?
Well, actually, some very random things like size, like colors, if they're vibrant or more grayish, but also something that is very hard to value, like importance for the culture. In this case, we knew from the very beginning it can be the most valuable Polish artwork. Because of the motifs there. We can see the Polish jester from Jagiellonian court there, so Stańczyk, very well-known theme from Polish 19th century art from Jan Matejko paintings in National Museum in Warsaw. The self-portrait, so very highly positioned motif among Jacek Malczewski collectors, and the whole image of that painting, I mean, it's really unique when you see it in person.
But despite all these attributes, the National Museum in Warsaw decided to pass on the opportunity to buy it. Do you know why?
Well, actually, we auctioned that piece 2 times. First time in 2022, when it broke the record for the first time. So then 17 million Polish zlotys under hammer plus fees. So in total 20.4. And last Thursday, so June the 12th, with the sum 18.5 with fees that gives us 22.2. And during the first auction, the National Museum in Warsaw signalized their interest in that very unique and excellent piece. But finally, after this 2 years of legal battle, let's say, and questioning the legal status of that painting, museum, when we contacted the museum this spring, they waived its right, citing budgetary limits. Yeah.
I can imagine. And I mean, you mentioned that you encountered this painting on eBay for the first time.
Yes.
And I was wondering, because of course, Polish Ministry of Culture is doing that, is trying to trace various valuable artworks.
Exactly.
But you, as an institution, as a private institution, are you also doing that? And how does it look like?
Well, actually, that's our work to, to discover the most precious pieces in private possession in Poland, but also all over the world. In the public domain, there is a lot of magnificent pieces in Polish museums, Polish national museums. Still, in private hands, there is not so much. I mean, the demand at the market for the best pieces is really high, but the supply in Polish reality is not so high because of complicated Polish history in 20th century, war losses, etc. Yeah, when we find like really good piece and put that at the auction, it can break like all the records these days in comparison to transactions from last 2, 3, 4, 5, even 10 years. So this difference between the possible funds to be found in private domain and in public institutions make it rather impossible to purchase that pieces. But to me, honestly, when we have so many magnificent pieces of Polish modernist art of young Poland period in Polish museums, it's even better for these pieces to stay in private hands, to promote private collecting and private interest in art and private museums. Many of our clients, many private college collectors think about, to make their collections accessible for public these days. So I perceive it very positive.
Right, so let's zoom in on the Polish art market. Majority of works that are being sold are by Polish artists, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's true, yeah.
Who are the buyers? Are these Polish people? Are these buyers from abroad? What can you tell us?
Of course, Polish art market is dominated by Polish collectors because such names like Malczewski, Wyspiański, Józef Brandt, Jan Matejko, they're really local. So they're not really worldwide phenomena, but they're extremely important for Polish culture of 19th century, of 20th century. But that is different at the contemporary or even ultra-contemporary market when we see interest from all over the world, North America, Asia, other European countries who are very interested in purchasing blue chip names these days, like Wilhelm Sasnal or Ewa Juszkiewicz, who are really highly positioned at the global art market.
Right, so you can see that shift, perhaps a globalization of the Polish art
Definitely.
Market. And so did you notice that people are spending more on art or less? I mean, nowadays, what is the trend?
What I can observe is when we put at the auction something very rare, the result can be to us, even to us as an art market experts,
Difficult to imagine, yes.
Difficult to imagine, exactly, because scarcity and extreme rarity of really good pieces of Polish art is something obvious to us. To me, the result of Rzeczywistość by Jacek Malczewski is really no surprise.
Right, and just to sort of wrap up our conversation, when we had this Józef Chełmoński exhibition here at the National Museum in Warsaw, 150,000 people came to see it.
Exactly.
But then, if we look at his artworks at auction, they not necessarily, receive such high sums, right? I mean, why is that?
Well, actually, we sold the most valuable artwork by Józef Chełmoński, so Evening, Summer, from his, a Summer Evening, from his early Warsaw Ukrainian period. That was like 2 years ago, and then the Polish National Museum also acted. The buyer then was National Museum in Poznań, and that was a record sum paid by any Chełmoński painting.
It was still only 4.3 million. I did my research.
Exactly. But still, from the perspective of art history, that was an excellent piece. From clients' perspective, it was very refined, but still quite dark, maybe not so easy connected in imagination, of course, with his classical horse depictions and so on and so on. But still, if something of class of I don't know, Indian Summer from the National Museum in Warsaw collection would appear at the market, then of course I'm sure we would observe a record maybe even higher than for Rzeczywistość by Malczewski.
Well, so let's wait and see. Tomasz Dziwicki, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you a lot.
And thank you for watching Pulse of Culture. Please stay tuned for more here on TV World.